Hi guys, Alberto here. You're watching the Bedroom Rocker YouTube channel, and today we are checking out the Two Notes Torpedo Captor X. I'm gonna start with a demonstration track, then I'm gonna cover the main specs and applications of the product. I'm gonna show you a couple more isolated guitar tracks, and finally we move on to the review part. So grab a drink, sit tight, and let's go. This video is not sponsored, but Two Notes did send me the Captor X for the review, and if you follow the channel, you know that I use their cabinet simulations all the time, so keep this in mind while watching this review. Also a big thank you for Two Notes for sending me the product, and as a follow-up video I'm planning to do a shootout or comparison between recording tube amps using the Captor X versus miking up a real speaker cabinet in an apartment environment like this. Finally, I'm also planning to do sort of a wrap-up video comparing the regular Torpedo Captor, the Captor X, and the Cab Amp Plus. So if this is something interesting to you, also make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay tuned. The Captor X has four main functions, which is a reactive load, attenuator, speaker cabinet simulation, and impulse response loader. So it's really designed to work in tandem with your tube amps so that you can get the most out of them, be it on a live, studio, or bedroom situation. Tube amps normally need to be connected to a load in order to dissipate the power that they produce. In most cases this will be the speaker or the speaker cabinet, but in some cases you want to be able to play or record silently without producing any noise, and in this case we need to replace the speaker cabinet by an external load. That's where the Captor X comes in, so you can place the Captor X into the speaker output of your amp and be able to get the complete signal, including the power section working, but without necessarily producing any noise. As the next step, you can get the raw, unprocessed signal from your amplifier and use the Captor X to add a virtual speaker cabinet simulation to it. You can then send the processed signal into the headphones output for silent practicing at home, into an audio interface for recording, or into a mixing desk / front of house if you are performing live. So this really completely eliminates the need for having a speaker cabinet and a microphone paired to your amplifier. In terms of virtual speaker cabinet simulation, you have two main choices. The first one is to use the proprietary format from Two Notes, which they call DynR for Dynamic Impulse Response. And the Captor X ships with 26 virtual cabinets for guitar and another 6 for bass. The other option is then to use the Captor X as an impulse response loader. So basically just get third-party IRs from other vendors and load them into the Captor X to use them as your speaker cabinet simulation. Finally, you can still pair the Captor X with a proper speaker cabinet, and you can choose to attenuate the volume of the tube amp when doing so. So you have basically a switch with 3 different settings. First is no attenuation at all, then you have -20 and -38 dB. 20 dB is quite enough to bring like a 20 to 30 watt tube amp down to bedroom level, and is also enough to bring a 100 watt tube amp from, let's say, stadium level to pub level and make them way more manageable at the studio as well. Then the 38 dB attenuation will likely bring your 20-30 watt amp down to speaking level, while bringing the 100 watt down to a more bedroom apartment level. Now let's take a look at the rear panel. First we have the power connection. The Captor X requires 12 volts DC power and ships with its own power supply. Then we have the 2 balanced XLR connections, left and right, that can be used either in stereo or dual mono. We have also the ground lift and the fan. Then back to the left at the bottom, we have the options for remote control via MIDI or micro USB. And here again, the MIDI adapter and USB cable are provided with the unit. Next we have the speaker out with the toggle switch for the 3 different levels of attenuation. And finally we have the speaker in connection, which is red, so that you never forget to plug your tube amp into the reactive load section. And here is also important to mention the Captor X comes in both 8 and 16 ohm versions, so just make sure you get the right one depending on the output choices that your amplifier offer. In the front panel we first have the ventilation grill with an inbuilt LED. This will blink red in case your input signal is too strong and getting clipped. For this very same purpose you have also toggle switch number 7, which allows you to switch between high and low levels of input signal to avoid clipping. Then we have control knob number 2, which controls the overall output. Number 3 controls the voicing, so this will make your sound deeper or more presency, and it's quite useful to make the last adjustments to the cabinet simulation sound on stage. Then we have the control for the space. This normally controls the level of the reverb or the mix between the dry and the reverb sound. But using the 2Notes Torpedo Remote app, you can also assign this knob to control the stereo width of the reverb or the balance of the twin tracker function that we also cover later. Then on the lower part we have the headphones out. We have also the toggle switch that I mentioned before, and finally we have the preset knob that can be used to switch between 6 different presets that can be stored in the unit itself. All the virtual cabinet simulation sounds can be controlled using the 2Notes Torpedo Remote app. This can be paired to the Captor X using Bluetooth on your smartphone or via USB cable on your desktop. The app is quite straightforward to use. So we start by selecting the speaker cabinet, then we have the input section with the option for a noise gate, and then we have the option for 2 different microphones that we can blend and also play with their position. Then we have the post effects section. Here we have the equalization, the sound enhancer and the reverb. And then we have the output section where we can make use of the twin tracker function. This is quite an awesome automatic double tracking feature for guitar. So it basically repeats everything that you're playing with a slight delay, and this really helps to thicken up your guitar parts and create a more 3-dimensional sound. In terms of the output, by default this is set to stereo, but it can also be changed to dual mono. And for the dual mono option, we have then the option to have the cabinet simulation in both outputs, or to completely bypass the cabinet simulation in one of the outputs. If you choose to have the cabinet simulation in both outputs, you can also choose to add a different EQ curve to one of the output signals. And this is great, for example, if you want to send one signal to front of house and the other signal for your on-stage monitor. So it's great to have a different EQ curve shapes on both of these sounds. The other option, which is to bypass the cabinet simulation in one of the outputs, is awesome for recording, for tracking, because when you are playing or recording, you can listen to the sound with the cabinet simulation, but at the same time you are still recording the raw sound from your amplifier. And later in post-production, if you want to add a different cabinet simulation to that signal, you still have the option to do so by using, for example, the Notes Torpedo Wall of Sound app or any other impulse response loader of your choice. Let's hear some more sound samples now. The amps I'm gonna use are the Victor EV40, the Vox AC15, and the Marshall Studio Vintage 20. In all the cases, I'm gonna load down the amps using the Captor X and then using the Torpedo Remote app to configure different cabinet simulation sounds. So let me know what you think about the sounds and the features of the True Notes Torpedo Captor X. Overall, I think this is a great product for tube amp lovers. So here in Germany, it costs about 520 euros. And I think it's a great investment if you gig or record or play with tube amps in general. So you'll be able to get way more out of your tube amps in all of these situations. In terms of sounds, I really like the cabinet simulations from True Notes. I really like the sound, how they respond, and also the fact that you have a wide variety of choices. So from clean to heavy, from more vintage inspired to more modern inspired. For sure you will be able to find something that suits your needs. And also the package that delivers with the Captor X has 32 cabinets. It's a quite well-rounded pack. For the introduction track, I have only used these cabinets that are delivered with the Captor X. For the isolated guitar tracks, I also used some of my personal cabinets like the Victory cabs, which are awesome in my opinion. And if you want to get additional cabinets, you can do so in the True Notes website. And on that regard, I highly recommend you keep an eye for sales, because they do tend to go on sales quite often. And actually right now, if you buy a Captor X, True Notes is giving away $1,000 or euros worth of dinars. So this is a really good way to quickly build a huge library of dinars with to cover a wide range of styles. That's it for today. I really hope the review was helpful and fun to watch. If that's the case, make sure to give a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more guitar and gear related content, make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell to stay tuned. Also, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to support the Bedroom Rocker YouTube channel, make sure to check my affiliate links in the description box down below. If you use them to buy anything, I earn a small commission, and this really helps me to get the channel going and get more products for making reviews like this one at no additional cost for you. So keep on rocking and cheers!